Hi, Sandra. I saw that you emailed me today. I downloaded your picture from the email. So I'm in Illustrator. Just ignore this for a second. I'm trying to, well, whatever. So I'll just go to Create New to create a new canvas, or Artboard, I guess is what it's called in Illustrator. I'll go to Print because we want it high resolution. I think a tabloid size will work. It's probably going to be maybe too big, but we'll see. I'll make sure this is in inches just to, and I'm putting it kind of wide, 17 inches wide by 11 tall, just because this looks like a little bit wider than it is tall, the image that you sent me. So CMYK color, oops, I don't know why that popped up. High resolution, and that should be good. So we'll create that. So we get a new artboard that's 17 inches wide by 11 inches tall. And I'm in Essentials Classic right now. And I have my properties panel open, which is helpful. If you don't have your properties panel open, you can go to Window, Properties, and just make sure that's checked so that it comes up here. The properties panel is kind of nice, so you might want to work with that open, whether you're in Essentials or Essentials Classic. So let's do a file place. We'll bring in that top hand image that you have. We will place this in here. Oh, it's pretty big. That's good. Means it's high resolution. So let's grab the free transform tool right here in Illustrator and push Shift and just size this down. And if we do Command plus or Command 0, it'll kind of bring us in a little closer on our image. So it's going to be a little bit tricky converting this into something that you can actually remove the black background. I'm not sure if you're wanting to make it vector or if you're wanting to bring it into Photoshop. I'm showing you how to do it in Illustrator, but so image, let's go to Window, and there's actually an image trace right here in Window. And there's a few more options in this panel than there are like up in here. So if we go to kind of preview, push OK. I don't want this to show again. It'll actually kind of go, oops, I have it on black and white. We want to put this on color. And it'll actually preview what you are doing with all your different settings here in this image trace window that popped up when we opened that up from the Windows menu at the top. Sometimes it takes a while because it's, there's just a lot of information there. So I think what we're doing up to 30 colors here. That actually looks pretty good. There's also this advanced section. You can also like change things in here and watch the preview. I mean, if you have preview checked, then you can kind of see, okay, that looks good, or you can adjust it. So maybe I want to change some of the corners on some of these paths to be more, less or more, basically. I think the more you have on corners, the more detail you're going to get. Oops. So it's taking a little while to think because I changed that. And it probably will change our tracing result a little bit too. It just takes a while. So just give it some time. Depending on what kind of computer you have, that might take. And then you can, you can ignore white. You can look through here and see all of the different, settings that you have. Some of these things there's so many different things to look at that, but anyway, that is looking pretty good to me. So I'm just going to kind of put this over here. And the last thing, this is a two-step process, the image traces, so we can do expand. And here we go. We have a fully vector image. You can see if we zoom in and grab some things with the selection tools, mostly the direct selection tool, the white arrow tool. You can see all the anchor points. So if we click off, we can start actually using the white arrow tool. Don't use this tool. Don't use the selection tool. Use the direct selection tool. You can go through and start deleting. You might have to push delete more than once to delete some of the colors. This might actually, you can click and drag to get a couple things at a time and push delete like 3 or 4 times or 5 times, just depending. Oops. just depending on, this might take a while. You might have to zoom in. This might not actually be the absolute best way to do this. But if you want a vector image, this is a decent way to go about doing it. See how I'm clicking, holding down and dragging to get multiple items. I would probably have to zoom in around these edges to get some of those extra things that are, still present in the document. But you can go through and actually delete all this information out of here by pushing delete several times, clicking and dragging and deleting. That's one way of doing it. In Illustrator, you can use the image trace and then use the direct selection tool. And there's also an eraser, which might actually work better for you. There's so many different ways you can do things, but you can adjust the size, make it uniform, 15 point, and then, click here. You can make it even bigger than 15 point. That's just, I'm going to move this out. I'm just going to X out of this. So I can make the size of this thing bigger. I guess I thought I could do it a different way, but I thought I could custom size it to maybe be like 30 pixels instead of 15. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but not off the top of my head can I remember. But you can also go through and delete, just erase things with the eraser tool. This could take you a while. One way of doing it, you could open it up in Photoshop instead. So do File, Open, open up that image that I downloaded, top hand image, open in Photoshop, and then we can actually image mode, make it, okay, it's in CMYK. Image size, I just want to look at the size of it. So if I resample, that'll connect everything together. And if I want to make this 300, that would be for print. So it's actually 9 inches by 7 inches or 10 inches by 8 inches roughly at 300 dpi. And then we can do, so we can use, let me open this up a little bit. If you click down on this, underneath the marquee tool, if we do the quick selection tool, we can start selecting. And if you push shift down, you can get multiple areas selected and just continue to drag it through your document. Oops. So sometimes it will grab too much stuff, like it just did. I just Command Z'd to undo, but it's pretty close to how we want it. So, and if we do minus, we can minus from the selection. So we can actually bring some of the stuff back in that we didn't want. See how I'm minusing from our selection because I accidentally brought in this antler and I didn't really mean to do that. And then a good thing to do from here, you might want to bring in some of this back in because, using the minus tool. So really I'm minusing from that black selection that I made with the direct selection tool. And you can add to your selection, you can minus, but you might want to start off with this one and then pushing shift to get the background. Hopefully this is making sense. This can be a little bit tricky. So just try to get as refined as you can with your selection. You might want to bring some of this back in. It does an okay job of getting it. You might have to zoom in. This can take a while too. I mean, you might have to go around all the edges, zoom in, and just really try to refine your selection. To include everything. You might have to change your brush size of this tool here. Why is this not working? I feel like maybe my computer's not working very well, but oh no, it's right here. Sorry, I'm not working very well. Okay, so you can change the size, which will be helpful in some cases when stuff starts to get kind of small, like how it is right here. But yeah, just go through. Let's just pretend like I've gone through and really spent time, and then go Command 0 or Control 0 on a PC, and then Select and Mask is a great button to push. So you can see we only selected the background, which was not correct. So we want to do select inverse. Actually, no, go back in here, select and mask, and you can actually invert it right here with this button. So this actually brings us into kind of a different window within Photoshop. Push invert. And then you can actually go through and even further refine this. If you turn up your transparency, you can really see what's selected. If you turn it, you know, all the way down, you can't tell, but I like to have it around, yeah, like, you know, 435 or so. And then you can go through and even dial this in even more using, I like to use the brush tool. If you hover over this, it should tell you. That's not really working, but I believe the third one down is, I think it is, maybe it's this one. Quick selection. The brush tool. Okay, yeah, and this is how you plus and minus from the current selection. So if I want to add to my selection, you know, I can just click here and really dial it in. Obviously, I'm bringing in the background and we don't really want that, but I'm just showing you. If I want to subtract that and I want to change the brush size, I can do that. I can also feather it out a little bit, make it soft. So the edges are softer. I'm deleting this now, so because I'm on the minus. So I can actually bring that back out. And you can really dial in your selection this way using this, you know, special panel with the transparency and everything. And you can feather out the edges. So if you want to make them blurry on the edges, just to kind of, you know, 9 pixels or, you know, somewhere around there, 7 pixels is pretty good. And then output settings is a really important little area. Just make sure you open it up. If it's closed, just open it up with this little arrow, scroll down, output selection to layer mask is what you want. And then you push OK, and then you kind of get back into the regular Photoshop view. And you have now you have a clipping mask. So it actually didn't really change your file. It's just put this little mask over the background. And then we can do a file, save as, and I would just save it to, you know, wherever. I'm just going to put it on my desktop, but you can put it in your documents and then make it a Photoshop file. And then save that and push OK. And then it should have a transparent background still. And you can also save it as a file, save as PNG. So, oh, actually to get a PNG, I think you have to do a file export, export as. And the nice thing about I don't know, sorry, file, export. Well, maybe, yeah, PNG right here. And it'll keep the transparent background. That's the nice thing about PNG files, and they're smaller than Photoshop files. JPEG file will just automatically put a white background in again. So if you're wanting a transparent background, a PSD file or Photoshop file or a PNG will work. And I'm just going to save this to my desktop. And obviously you might spend a little bit more time refining this in Photoshop. I don't know if you like the Photoshop method or the Illustrator method better. Either way, I think it'll work. I personally am so used to doing this in Photoshop that I would probably just use Photoshop if I was you, but it's really up to you, whatever you prefer. Once you get this dialed in, you can save it out as a, you know, PNG out of Illustrator if you're using the Illustrator route. You can do export as PNG, and that'll save it with a transparent background, or you can just you can do a save as, and I think you can use the AI file or maybe an EPS file as well, and bring that into your document as well if you want to preserve that transparent background out of Illustrator anyway. So hopefully this isn't too crazy for you, but there's 2 different ways that you can do this using 2 different programs. So all right, hopefully this helps a little bit. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.